It's always strange when an iconic video game franchise gets neglected by its owners. A new F-Zero, Mega Man, or Chrono Trigger, they all seem like nothing but a dream. For times like those, I enjoy seeing other developers make an attempt at their own versions of the game. A spiritual successor, if you will. Sometimes the games turn out great, like with Freedom Planet's heavy Sonic inspiration. But other times it can leave fans pissed off at how awful the game turned out, like with the revolting monstrosity that is Mighty No. 9. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I love me some Castlevania. But those freaks over at Konami seem to be content with letting the series fade away, with its last release being that stupid sexy pachinko machine. So when I heard that Bloodstained Curse of the Moon was being released, and that it's the spiritual successor to the NES style of Castlevania games, I knew what I must do. Review it, of course! So let's check out Curse of the Moon and see if it picks up the slack left behind by those boneheads at Konami. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon was released on May 24th, 2018, and was developed by Inti Creates, a studio who are no strangers to revitalizing old franchises, as they develop Mega Man 9 and 10 decades after the NES releases. Curse of the Moon begins with some scrolling text. It's not flashy, but apropos, since this is a faux NES game. The story is about Zangetsu, a man who has vowed to slay any and all demons in his path as revenge for the mysterious curse they placed upon him. Honestly, the story is extremely vague, but who cares? Because I'm here to whip demons in the face. From the get-go, Curse of the Moon screams Castlevania at the top of its lungs. Compare their opening cutscenes, and if you've never played either, you'd be confused as to which is which. And that's something that's present in every part of the game. Curse of the Moon is never hiding the fact that it's actually Castlevania in disguise. So like a Castlevania game, it immediately throws you into the haunting environment. Armed with a sword, you move right and begin to lay waste to demons attacking you at every turn. Zangetsu has a variety of sub-weapons at its disposal, like a chain, demon essence, or a magic charm. These come in handy if you need to strike at an enemy coming in at a different angle. But of course these attacks are limited by the amount of weapons points you have. Hitting lanterns will drop more weapons points, new sub-weapons, or health. Zangetsu moves smoothly, and when you defeat an enemy, they explode, and you get some rumble feedback on your controller. Both together make the kill feel super satisfying. If an enemy hits you, you will not only take damage, but be knocked back, which can make you fly into a pit. But thankfully for those who dislike that old school knockback, you can turn it off. There are branching routes, but you essentially proceed to the right, cutting down all demons standing in your way, until you reach the boss at the end. The bosses are unique and challenging, but never overwhelming. All you need to do is figure out their pattern and exploit it. My biggest problem with the whole game is that the bosses do not have a health bar. I've never liked slashing away at a boss not knowing when he's gonna kick the bucket. A little nitpicky, I know, but it can be frustrating. After you beat that first boss, the game then has a trick up its sleeve, because you will unlock a new playable character. There are 3 other characters who you can switch between instantaneously. This proves to be extremely useful as each character has their own strengths, weaknesses, additional sub-weapons, and can allow you to access different areas. Miriam attacks with a whip and can jump higher. Alfred the Alchemist has lower health and horrible range, but powerful magic attacks. And Gebel can transform into a vampire bat. Man, these guys all sound really familiar. Oh yeah, because they all have Castlevania counterparts. Miriam plays just like good old Simon Belmont, and I think that's why she was my favorite. The switching mechanic is awesome because it keeps the gameplay varied enough and you can find a character that you like the best. But you can also use their attacks in tandem, such as having Alfred cast a fire shield spell, then switch to Gebel and attack while still being protected. But the downside is that after you get all these new characters, playing as Zangetsu isn't as fun because of his limited range. Curse of the Moon only takes a few hours to beat with its 8 levels, but once you do, you can unlock a hard mode so you can attempt to get the alternate endings. And the short playtime makes you want to dive in again for seconds right away. 8-bit art style has been done to death lately, but nonetheless, Curse of the Moon looks amazing. There are so many cool looking enemy designs, scrolling backgrounds with tons of detail, and slick sprite animations. My favorite looking enemies were the Gold Boss because of how sinister and expressive he was, and the gross puking Jellyfish Man. Even the little things like skeletons pointing you the way to go is a nice touch. When you think of Castlevania, you think of some of the catchiest and most memorable songs in video games. Curse of the Moon makes sure to bring the thunder in this department too. It perfectly encapsulates the spooky vibes of storming a castle filled with ghouls. It's really difficult to pick which I like best between the soundtrack, graphics, or gameplay, because it is all top-notch. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is intended to be an homage to the NES Castlevania games. But really, it's just a blatant ripoff in every conceivable way. And that's not a bad thing. Usually when you think of a ripoff, you think of lower quality. But Curse of the Moon can hang with the best Castlevania games, and it truly feels like it belongs right beside Castlevania 1 and 3, and in many ways even surpasses them. It has been too long since Konami has released a Castlevania game, let alone one in the classic linear style. And if they're not going to support one of the most popular game franchises ever, I'm glad that someone else has taken up the helm. Curse of the Moon ticks off all the right boxes for a Castlevania game. It has methodical platforming, pulse-pounding boss fights, incredible soundtrack, and amazing gothic backgrounds. Though it may be on the shorter side, for just $10, this is a must-have for Castlevania fans, retro game fans, and just about everybody else. Playing this has got me excited to try the next Bloodstained game coming out later this year, Ritual of the Night, which is a spiritual successor to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So what do you guys think about Curse of the Moon? And what game is your favorite spiritual successor? Let me know down in the comments below. I'll see you next time, and remember, it's all fun and games. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked that video, why not check out my collaboration with my good buddy Let Him Come In It as we review Super Smash TV. And if you like It's All Fun and Games, make sure to subscribe. Thanks again.